One of the most iconic Dalek lines in the new series of Doctor Who was heard during Doomsday, in which Dalek Sec boasts to the cyber leader of the Cybermen from Pete's world that the Cult of Skaro could defeat the Cybermen with one Dalek. And at that point in Dalek history, this was probably true. Doomsday shows us that the weapons and technology of the Cybermen were no match for the Time War era Daleks. Indeed, the shields and weapons of the Cult of Skaro meant that they could very likely destroy 5 million Cybermen with just one Dalek. However, things have changed on both sides since the events of Doomsday. For context, Doomsday is an interesting example of a Daleks vs Cybermen matchup because it pits one of the weakest and most primitive variants of Cyberman, the Cybers variant made on a parallel Earth using 21st century Earth technology, against the most powerful variant of Dalek, the Time War era Cult of Skaro Daleks, who were fitted with energy shields and imbued with the ability to imagine and innovate new combat tactics. However, since then, the Cybermen have seen a significant upgrade in New Who, while the Daleks have seen somewhat of a downgrade. The Siberiad Cybermen seen in Series 7 were an upgraded fusion of the surviving Cybermen and the late-era Mondasian Cybermen, and had several new abilities including powerful armour that could assimilate damage and adapt to weapons after several uses, super speed, and detachable limbs and body parts. In comparison, the Daleks of this era seem to lack shields, and resumed their old wars with humanity while the Cybermen became the greatest threat to mankind during the Cyber Wars. Following the Cyber Wars, the Master used the Cybermen to conquer Gallifrey and created the Cyber Masters, a fusion of Cyberman and Time Lord, essentially a Cyberman that could regenerate. These units were incredibly effective in combat, as if they were killed they could simply regenerate, stand up and keep fighting. Even the Paradigm Daleks, who at this point are assumed to be the most powerful form of Dalek, do not have abilities that can match those of the Cyber Masters. As such, it would seem as though in the modern era the Cybermen are actually more powerful than the Daleks are, at least for the moment. However, looking back at Classic Who, this isn't the first time that this has been the case. Comparing the Daleks from the 1970s and early 1980s to the Cyber Neomorphs that we saw during 80s Who, in the Classic era it seems as though the Cybermen are not only more powerful than the Daleks as a faction, but are also considered more of a threat by humanity. Due to other conflicts like the Mabellan War and the Dalek Civil War, there were long periods of human history in which the Cybermen were the true threat, not the Daleks. And comparing a standard 1970s or early 1980s Dalek with a Cyber Neomorph Cyberman, it seems clear that in a fight the Cybermen would most likely come out on top. Daleks of the Mabellan War era were probably the weakest the Dalek Empire had ever been since the first emergence of Daleks on Skaro, and the Cyber Neomorphs were the pinnacle of pre-Time War Cyberman evolution. It's quite possible that if the Daleks and Cybermen met at this point in their respective timelines, the Cybermen would come out on top. But what do you think? Are the Daleks more powerful than the Cybermen? Or have the recent leaps in cyber technology through the likes of the Siberiad, the Cyber Warriors and the Cyber Masters made new variants of Cybermen that are more powerful than the Daleks? Do you think we should get another Daleks vs Cybermen TV story to see which faction would win in a battle? Let me know in the comments below.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to
Dalek Bumps.